Now, our friend Adam Warlock has been floating through this vast emptiness of space for long enough now, so it's time to check back on him, as in his Golden Sail lore entry, eventually he thinks to himself, now that my cosmic awareness had been fully awakened, I could sense another empire on the horizon. This one was not nearly as ancient as Odin's realm, yet its own god seemed just as eager to call my name. Warlock, she said with a growl of disdain, you've certainly come a long way to die. Was I being threatened for merely passing through this space? How rude. The intergalactic empire of Wakanda shall not harm you, traveler, the voice continued. But those beyond our borders will not be nearly as kind. Of that, you have Bast's word. Bast, the panther goddess. A member of the Orisha, which last I remember, isn't that a pantheon of deities worshipped by the people of Wakanda? But last I recalled, Wakanda was merely a nation of the planet Earth, not an interstellar civilization. Could I have drifted into another reality? More precisely, Bast interrupted, other realities have drifted to you. This time stream entanglement has brought us together from across a multitude of planes. What is left of each universe is converging into one, as if we have been gathered. Gathered? Gathered for what? For the feast. As Bast snarled her final words into my mind, it became clear that her divine presence had somehow been corrupted. Could she have been tainted by the very same darkness that Odin had warned me of? I had no way of knowing, as my journey across the spaceways had already continued deeper into the heart of this strange patchwork galaxy.
Child of the light.
A third odd voice suddenly echoed within me. This one I could identify without hesitation. It spoke with such raw power that it could only belong to a celestial, an ancient being spawned at the dawn of time. But yet, even though its words passed through my conscience with tremendous force, they were softer than other celestials I had encountered. Muted, faded, shifted like distant memories.
You would be wise to listen, lest my fate end up being yours as well,
the celestial implored, though I had little choice to give it anything less than my undivided attention.
As you know, we Celestials were born at the beginning of all that is. But we were not the first. There was a primordial force that came before us, a creature of pure darkness, so powerful that he could strike down any who threatened to shed light upon the endless oblivion he ruled.
Even the Celestials themselves? I struggle to imagine a foe so formidable.
There are few who can wrap their minds around his nihility, and yet here I remain, slain by his sword with nothing left of me but an empty husk and the echoes of consciousness.
There was more than just the remains of a fallen celestial in the void beyond my cocoon. I could sense that now. There was also a hint of corruption, not unlike the one that had tainted Bast, but this was not found in the disembodied mind of the slaughtered celestial. Rather, it lingered on the great being's lifeless body, like an infected sore that had been festering for millennia.
You feel him too,
the voice echoed.
His tainted touch has stained my corpse for eons. But now that time collapses around us, he has awoken once more, eager to revel in the oncoming oblivion. I have called out to others like you, great cosmic forces, ancient warriors, even the gods themselves, for help in containing his eternal darkness. But they have either retreated or succumbed to his poison. Perhaps you will fare better.
Hoping the Celestial was right, I reached out with my mind, desperately trying to identify the source of this cosmic impurity. But my thoughts became clouded as I heard the Celestial scream a final warning.
Beware, child of light! He has found you!
Who? Who has found me? The Celestial did not answer. But another voice did, with a tone 1,000 times darker than the blackness within my cocoon.
No.
As he spoke his own name, I could feel his dark tendrils digging into my mind. This ruler of the void, this king in black, had awakened somewhere and was dragging me towards him. Try as I might, I could not escape his grip.
Do not give up hope, child,
the Celestial said, its voice rapidly fading.
You will not be alone.
Suddenly, a burst of cosmic fire erupted through the heavens, producing a flash so brilliant that it permeated the walls of my cocoon. The light lasted only a second, but its unusual shape forever burned itself into my mind. A majestic bird, its flaming wings spanning across the cosmos. Before I could process what had happened, the vessel that was meant to protect me now hurtled through space towards a destination unknown. My body was still confined, but my mind was in a heightened state. Where there had once been blinding light, now darkness and despair had slithered their way in. I was overcome with images of the horrors that Knull had once committed, and those he had yet to unleash upon the universe. I could see his past and his future, but what of his present? That, it seemed, was shrouded in mystery, a void greater than Knull himself. Suddenly, my journey across the galaxy came to a violent end as my vessel made impact across a most unusual surface. Was this a planet? No. I could feel it writhing around me as if it were alive, and more, I could feel Knull's sinister presence closer than ever. Wherever I was, he was as well. Before my cocoon could be dragged beneath the churning sea of oblivion surrounding it, a single crack appeared above me. Where before there was nothing, now there was the faintest glow, the faintest hope. I pushed through, emerging from my cocoon to gaze upon the surface of a world teeming with alien life. And as my mind touched their hive mind, it all became clear. This was Klintar, the planet of the symbiotes. It was here that his own followers imprisoned him eons ago, and it was here that he was biding his time, regaining his strength in hopes to break free and claim his prize once more. Perhaps he had dragged me here to snuff out my light before I could drown out his shadows. But he made a grave miscalculation. I broke free first, and as I stood upon Knull's planet-sized prison, I made a solemn vow to do anything in my power to make sure that his infinite darkness would not go unchecked. In the beginning, there was darkness, but in the end, there will be light, and I shall be the one to help it shine. Now, eventually, we'll get to discussing just what exactly the Galactic Empire of Wakanda is and more about Bast and her current condition. However, before we leave this section of the lore, of course, since we've talked about Knull, we have to discuss Venom's lore entry, Betray the Umbra.